So I'm back with another test of a wood stove or twig stove with an alternative fuel in it. This is going to be completely different from anything I've done so far. This time I'm going to use a Hobo stove. Now this is not made from an Ikea utensil strainer. This one is made from a competitor's copy. Very close. I mean, it's just about the same. I've cut some holes in it. I have a feed hole through the side. I have some air holes around the top. Works identical to the Ikea ones, and I do have Ikea ones. This is just the one I grabbed today. What else I'm going to do different today is I'm going to use chunk charcoal. Rather than the preformed briquettes, this is just charred hardwood. And the reason I'm using that, well, a couple things. I wanted to see how it would perform if it was any different. But also I found that the briquettes kept falling out of the hole of the Hobo stove. So I thought this might just work a little bit better because now they're standing upright. So I'm going to set up. And I have the briquettes placed inside this, so there's a bit of a hole down the center, and then I'm going to light a little lighting cube, and I'm going to drop this down over it, and we'll just see how it starts to burn. I got a feeling this is going to be something that performs a little bit better, maybe a lot better, than the wood gasification stove. If you're interested in seeing what happens, stay tuned. Okay, so as a side note to this testing, I'm not sure, I'm hoping that the microphone's not picking up the wind. I hope I've got it shielded, but it's extremely windy. We've just had 3 or 4 days of pretty heavy rains, which were welcome because the woods were so dry. And the sun came out today, beautiful, getting quite warm, but with a lot of wind. So don't think that'll have a big influence on the test. Other than that, I do have to use the windscreen. So in addition to being a completely different stove, I'm going to go with a different theme with this test as well. This is more or less a budget test because I have a budget item for a stove, I have a budget windscreen made from aluminum flashing, and I have a budget pot that I'll show you when I go to put the water on. So I'm using one of those zip lighter cubes again, and it proved to be quite effective in a recent test. Very quick to light up. See if I can get that placed nicely. Now there's not much to do except give this a chance to light, let that briquette catch onto the charcoal. So I'll bring you back in a few minutes. I'm going to start the timer now because I'm interested in seeing how long these pieces of charcoal will last. So I'll bring you back in a few minutes, just before I put the water on for a boil. So it's been about 7 minutes since I lit the lighted briquette and dropped it down inside the charcoal. And I wanted to wait till the briquette had burnt itself out and had ignited the charcoal before continuing. So what I'm seeing now is the charcoal is all engaged, it's all glowing. Actually, there's quite a bit of heat coming off of it now. Just give it a hand test. 1/1002, just over 2, maybe 3 seconds. And that's about as much as I can stand. This is turning out to be a good grilling heat. There's no open flame, just the charcoal working at this time. And so far, I'm thinking this might actually be a good alternative fuel for grilling in the parks. I do want to do a boil test. Not that it's important that I be able to boil over charcoal, but just to see if it will generate enough heat to do that. So the pot that I'm using is another one of my dollar store finds. Sorry, this is a Value Village, a thrift store find, 99 cents. And I have 2 cups of water in it, as per standard. And you know, the reason I'm using 2 cups of water is not that there's some prescribed testing method. It's 2 cups of water for me is what I most often use when I'm rehydrating a meal. So that seems to be a reasonable test. And it's just a nice standard to work with, so it's consistent from test to test. So we'll just put this on, I'll start the timer, and if it does come to a boil, I'll bring it back. I'll wait a while. If it doesn't come to a boil, I'll let you know about that too. Okay, it's been 15 minutes since I put the water on top of the charcoal, and it is boiling. Pretty hard boil at that. All right, that's nice. I'm quite happy about that. I'll take that off. Get a look at the charcoal itself. You can see it's still lots of life left in it, and it's all burning nicely. 1/1000. Wow, 1/1002. That's hot. That is definitely grilling heat. So this chunk charcoal in a Hobo stove is produced not only enough heat to grill, but enough heat to boil water. I'm going to let it go and get an idea how long it goes. So from about 8 minutes in, we've had grilling heat. And we'll just let it go and see how long this grilling heat remains. So far, good. So at 45 minutes into the test, there is still a lot of heat left in those charcoals. Okay, I'm quite impressed. Let's do a hand test. 1/1002, just over 2 seconds. Perfect grilling heat. Now, unfortunately, due to circumstances beyond my control, I'm going to be cutting this test a little short. So I'm going to close up in a second with a few closing comments. So what are my closing comments on using chunk charcoal in a hobo stove? I'm impressed, honestly. That exceeded my expectations. It really did. Brought water to a boil in about 12-15 minutes. 45 minutes into the test, I'm still got enough heat to grill on. I do have to cut the test short, unfortunately, but I expect that I would have at least 60 minutes of grilling time on top of that little bit of charcoal. I don't think you can ask for better than that. So when you look at it, this was a very successful test all around. I used a very inexpensive $1 utensil strainer and a $1 pot to boil the water in. I would say it was very budget-minded and very effective. All right, I do have a couple more tests I'll be doing. So if you're interested, stay tuned for those. And until the next test, get out and explore. Take that path less traveled. It will make all the difference. Bye for now.